Good morning everybody, and welcome to the Haweswater Reservoir in the Lake District. This is an area that I know very well. I only live 4 or 5 miles away from here, and I suspect that many of you know this place well too, because this is featured in a few of my videos over the years. But this morning I've come here for a very special reason. I was recently contacted by a lady called Ailsa, and she was delighted to tell me that her sister-in-law, Danielle, or better known as Danny, and her fiance Alberto recently got engaged. And they got engaged here at the Haweswater Reservoir, more specifically on the Rigg. And she's commissioned me to get a photograph of the Rigg that she can give to Danny and Alberto as an engagement present. And so this morning I'm here on a very special commission. So the Rigg is the bit at the end of Rough Crag that sticks out into the reservoir, and it's covered in trees. And from this point here on Whiteacre Crag, you get a lovely view. And you've got these three elements in the frame. You have the island, you then have the Rigg itself in the midground, and then behind it you have Heart of Fell, which at the moment is covered in cloud. And I think that adds an extra element to the photo this morning. Now, I want to get a few different shots for Ailsa to choose from, and there's a little bit of jeopardy involved in this for me today, because if she doesn't like any of them, she won't be buying one. I'm going to start by shooting a composition as I just described it. So in portrait orientation, I'm going to have a view of the island, the Rigg and Heart of Fell. I'm then going to take a second shot where I'm going to pull back and include a little bit of the reservoir itself. And then when I've done that, I'm going to turn the camera into landscape orientation and get a shot that includes a little bit of Rough Crag as well. I'm going to use some filters for this shot this morning. I'm going to use a polarizer, and as I spin that darkens the water, and I can't decide at the moment whether I like that or not. So I'm going to take two shots, one with the polarizer cranked to the max and one with it at its minimum. And then when I get home and I can see the images in Lightroom, I'll choose the one that I like the best. I've also got a 3-stop soft edge grad on there, and that's pulling down the sky and helping me to retain some detail in the sky. And there's a little patch of blue just up there as well, so I'm going to try and include that in the frame as well. I'm pretty happy with those shots. I think there's something there that I can work with, but I want to give Ailsa a few different options. So I'm now going to head up the old Corpse Road and see if I can't get a shot of the Rigg from a different angle. I haven't had to come far up the old Corpse Road to find my first vantage point, only a couple of 100 yards, but from here you get this fantastic view of the Rigg and Rough Crag leading all the way up to High Street, and you can also get a shot with the island in it as well. And conditions this morning are absolutely brilliant. I have to be honest, this isn't the first time I've come out to try and shoot this commission for Ailsa, but I didn't get the light that I wanted. I actually came for sunset and the sun was in completely the wrong location. So I come out this morning at sunrise, and I say conditions are absolutely brilliant. We've got lots of interest in the sky, and because I'm shooting away from the sun, there's no temptation to get like a really bright pink sky had we had one, because hopefully Danny and Alberto are going to have to look at this image for the rest of their lives. And if I'd got something that was really garish, I'm not sure that it wouldn't have ended up in the loft within a couple of years. Because things have gone so well already this morning, and I've already got a couple of good shots in the bag, I'm going to try something a little bit different here, something I've never tried before. So I've got a composition with the Rigg on the left hand side and the island on the right hand side, and that shows Rough Crag leading up to High Street. and we've got some low cloud just sitting on the tops of the mountains. So it looks fantastic. There's patches of light as well. But in order to fit all of that in, I'm having to shoot a little bit wider than I would otherwise. And that means I'm having to include a little bit of this area in the foreground. You can actually see the road. Now that does provide a little bit of a frame at the bottom of the image. So this is something I haven't tried before. Fingers crossed it works. I've got an absolutely wonderful sky this morning. There are patches of blue. Now normally I wouldn't like blue in my photographs. I tend to go for something a lot moodier. But nobody wants a really kind of dark, moody photo to celebrate their engagement. You want some brightness and some lightness, some optimism in the photo. So that's really important. And today, conditions really couldn't be any better for me. I should just talk briefly about the framing for these shots. These shots are going to be printed. They're going to be printed at A3 size. And so I have to bear that in mind. So I'm shooting with the standard ratio for my camera, which is 3:2, and I'm going to use all of the image from top to bottom, but I'm going to lose just the edges. So I need to bear that in mind. The other thing is that this is going to be mounted in a frame, so I also need to make sure that there are no distracting elements around the edges of that frame where that mat's going to sit, and also I'm not going to cut in to anything important. So I just have to bear that in mind when I'm framing up these shots. You might just be able to see behind me that we're starting to get some light now on Rough Crag. And as the sun gets higher, that light will get lower and eventually it will hit the rig. Now I do want some shots with light on the rig. So far all the shots have had the rig pretty much in shadow. And I also want to get a shot without this foreground in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head up to my third and final vantage point. And up there, I get a much clearer view of the rig and the island. So this is my third vantage point, and from here I can get a much cleaner shot of the rig and the island. None of that foreground in there at all. And we are just starting to get a little bit of light on top of the rig. So we're just going to spend a few moments waiting for that to drop down a bit lower and try and get a bit more. But the colours today are absolutely fantastic. We've got greens, we've got oranges, and there's even some sort of reddy purple colours where the brackens turn completely. And it's absolutely glorious. This shot during the summer, it's very green, but today a lot more colour contrast in the scene, and that's obviously why we landscape photographers love autumn so much. Well, we're just waiting to see if that light will hit the rig. I think I'll just take a few moments to reflect on marriage. I'm a bit of an old romantic at heart, if I'm honest, and I've been married for 14 years myself. I'm very, very lucky with Mrs. Sale. She's wonderful. I absolutely adore her. And we have a very, very good relationship, and a relationship that works very well. We both bring something to it. I'm a bit of a dreamer. I'm a bit of an ideas man. I have a lot of wonderful ideas and wonderful dreams. For example, living in the Lake District and being a landscape photographer. But Mrs. Sale's a lot more practical than me, and she makes things happen. That's what she does. She takes my ideas and my thoughts and my dreams and she makes them happen. She sees them through. The ideas are no good without execution. That's why we work so well together. And if it wasn't for Mrs. Sale, I wouldn't be stood here now. I would probably still be working in an office somewhere in the centre of London. Fabulously well paid, no doubt, but I'm not sure I would have been as happy as I am today. Now, as I have been married for 14 years, I've learned a little bit about being a husband. And so I have some advice for Alberto, man to man, and that is this. Always put Danni's happiness ahead of your own. Make sure that she fulfills her dreams. Seeing the woman that you love reach her full potential is the most rewarding thing there is in life. I don't think we're too far off now. The light is starting to hit me here where I'm stood, and it's just being covered by a bank of cloud at the moment, but you can see behind me how harsh the light is now when it hits Causey Pike, I think it is. So I'm a little bit concerned that by the time the light hits the Rigg, it's going to be very, very harsh on Rough Crag and High Street behind it. So we'll just have to see what happens. We've got some light on the island now, and we're just starting to get some light on the top of the trees on the Rigg. So I'm going to get behind my camera and get ready so that I can grab a shot at the perfect moment. This is what landscape photography is all about. Coming onto location, getting your camera set up and just waiting for the light, waiting to see what happens, and then grabbing that shot at the perfect moment. As you can see, we did finally get some light on the Rigg. I got the shot that I came for. I feel delighted and more than a little relieved. What's going to happen now is I'm going to send those shots to Ailsa, and she's going to choose the one that she likes the best. And if you want to know which one she chooses, or if she chooses one at all, then you're going to have to read my blog. There's a link in the description below. Now, if you'd like me to take a photograph of the Lake District, especially for you, then you can commission me via my Ko-fi page. There's a link in the description below. And all that's left for me to do in this video is to wish Alberto and Danni all the best for the future. May you have many, many years of happiness together.